Hey, how's everybody doing? This is Elusive Collectibles, and I have another episode of Cards and Coffee. With me today is Scandell, also known as Steven.
Yeah.
And Steven, if you could introduce yourself and just tell us, what type of collector are you to open up?
I think I'm Steven, also known as Scandell. The other way around. What kind of collector am I? I'm kind of a recent Marvel card collector in that I hadn't really kind of picked up anything and like there was like almost 25 years of me not collecting anything. I collect Marvel cards, I collect Marvel memorabilia, comic books, a lot of comic books, a lot of animation memorabilia. You can see here a lot of these are like animation cells from Disney's Robin Hood.
Okay.
So I collect a lot of that. I collect sculpts and statues and mostly like animation production statues, things that were used in the making of films, things like
Nice.
that.
When do you feel you recognize that you were a collector? Like what age, if you have to guess?
Oh man, like that okay, yeah, I know what you mean. That's a great question. Pretty young. I think 8 or 9. And I think it was basically, and I think I'm kind of from a family of collectors in that my sister used to collect these little cottages, these little kind of, these little, little fancy little curio cabinet cottages. And my
Like
mom and dad,
knickknacks?
yeah, knickknacks. And my mom used to collect stuff and thimbles and things. And then when I came out, I just really liked to display everything that I had at my house. Like I liked getting new shelves and I liked lining things up and rearranging things in my room so I could just look at them. Yeah.
And, well, at this point, do you consider yourself more of a collector or an artist? Because for people that don't know, you're also an animator and you have your own animation company, correct?
Yes, I own Studio Zubio. That's the name. And I worked at Sony Pictures for 10 years and DreamWorks Animation for 10 years and um, worked on a lot of films that I know you've seen and lots of people have seen. And yeah, like I'm an animation nut. I really love animation. I eat and breathe it, and I love art, and I art direct, and working on my own animated television series right now that I'm developing. And yeah, I mean, I'm living the dream. I love it. We're having a good time.
That's awesome, man. Hey, in regards to the art, because I know that I thought I was hard on artists and art in general before I met you. But
No.
when I look at a card, to open this up for you, like when I look at a card personally, for me the most important thing is centering. As far as condition, right? So I look at centering, then corners, then edges, and the last thing for me is surface, depending on the type of card. So when you're looking at artwork, what are you looking for right off the bat? Anatomy, textures, poses, composition. What is like the most important to you?
Yeah, anatomy. Yeah, anatomy for sure, and not only like physical body anatomy, but like facial anatomy um, and definitely, yeah. I mean, you hit a lot of the good ones there, especially for card art and comic book art, which is composition, line of action. Lots of active poses, dynamic poses. But I mostly look for like my appealing character design, certainly, but also I like a master hand with the line work. Like if it's like a comic book artist like Jim Lee, like it's the idea of someone having that much control over their pen and um like just kind of like the true like master of the medium that they're using, whether it's paint or whether it's ink. um
Acrylics. Yeah.
yeah, I gravitate more towards the line drawn comic book art for Marvel cards. I do like the Marvel masterpieces, some more than others. I just don't love it when they look like real people, when it kind of looks like they're trying to really make them look almost real in our world. Like that you could tell they maybe had a body model, things like that. I'm not that into that. Once it starts looking like it's a body model kind of
Like a portrait, like of someone more than
well,
more
yeah,
than.
like you can tell they actually had a subject in the studio and they took photos from it and then they kind of rotoscoped or whatever you want to call it, like kind of traced over or used it as close reference. for the light and shadow.
And now, when you say the lines, like, or penciling, in other words, you brought up Jim Lee.
Mhm.
I knew that off the bat for me personally, right? That you're a huge fan of Jim Lee, as am I, and many other people. But what are other artists that come to mind that you hold in that high regard as you do him?
Well, there's a lot of different artists I like for a lot of different reasons, but
But specifically to what you think Jim Lee's strengths are.
besides Jim Lee, to man, so you guys are gonna laugh. I really like J. Scott Campbell, and I know he does a lot of the sensual art and stuff, but again, you look at like you get away from like his pinup stuff, and you look at like his ability, his like character art, like his caricatures. If you've ever seen like his personal sketchbooks of like celebrities that he does caricatures of, he's like a master caricature artist, and it's amazing to see. Like if you look at the Indiana Jones sketch cards that he put out in that series in 2007, can't remember what year it was, but you look at his sketch cards, like those things are sick. And it's that same kind of thing, like someone that can draw with really, clean lines and really nail a likeness, something that, the way someone looks. Man, I mean, there's a lot of, besides Jim Lee, I more contemporary, like new artists. I like David Nakayama, who is, I think I have some of his cards here. Let's see. He did some of these from X-Men 2018. He did like the X-Men 92s.
Oh, that's right. He did the red autos.
What's nice about his art is that he does a lot of the clean. They look really polished. They look kind of like the animated series, except just like to the extreme, like perfect, like a perfect translation. More recently, he's been doing a lot of the artwork for the Marvel Legends action figures, like the actual the blister pack artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of, Marvel's using him all over the place because he just does a good job of putting a new spin on the characters, but then having them still feel like they're classic,
Yeah.
And this is like his stuff's really ultra clean and polished, like his ability to kind of his shading, just everything looks so well. Not a line is out of place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that as well. But I don't know. That's the next few. But
so going back to excuse me, the sketch cards mainly. When you're looking at some of these artists, what do you think some of the, like, without naming any names, because I'm not trying to put anybody down personally, but like when you're looking at some of these artists, what do you think it is that they lack right off the bat? Like when you see a sketch, you're like, oh.
Honestly, my biggest criticism of that kind of stuff is this: that I feel like Marvel should be paying their top artists to be making cards for the collectors, and it shouldn't be more of a, I don't know, like a second tier bench of artists. That's just my biggest criticism. I don't think they should. I think they should be really paying good money to good artists to make the best art possible for these things. And some of it especially I can tell that it's not. It's like it's kind of, it feels like fan art.
Yeah, to your point, I think also sometimes it feels like they leverage the artist and they tell them, they try to justify what they're paying them by telling them that they're going to get exposure by being on the set.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. There's some ethical issues with that for sure, but no, it's just mostly like when I can tell that the artist doesn't understand the medium, doesn't understand the characters, doesn't really like. You can just read a lot just by how much effort they put in, and a lot of the sketch cards lack a lot of commitment, and I think that commitment comes from, I shouldn't say commitment, but they lack a lot of like mastery. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's not like every card has to be drawn by Jay Jusko or something like that, but Joe Jusko, sorry, but it's more about making sure that it's not just like colored pencil kind of doodles, and a lot of it looks like that to me.
Yeah, and then even though I agree with you that the fact that the pay is definitely not justified, but I try to put myself in their shoes, and even though they're probably getting paid barely for their supplies or whatever it is that they get paid, but if I know that the main pro for me doing this as an artist is exposure, then wouldn't you want to put your best foot forward and do your best effort on these sketch cards? Because some of them, to your point, you could just see them and know that they put zero effort.
Oh
They
yeah,
just
no, yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, no, you can tell. And there's been a lot of issues with artists copying other sketch cards as well. A lot of clone art, a lot of like they literally are putting zero effort in. So they're just kind of like doing a Google search for an image of a character. Then they're just kind of drawing it on a card. Like an image comes up randomly in a Google image search, and then they're just like, I'll do that one on this card. And they just start kind of, it's not tracing, but it's like you're basically rendering someone else's art onto a card, and it just loses to me, it loses the appeal of what I think sketch cards should be, which is an achievement for an artist, not just it shouldn't be an opportunity for an unproven artist.
Mhm.
Um,
And just to switch gears a little bit, I know that your favorite set is the 1992 X-Men,
yeah.
Jim Lee set, right?
Mhm.
And you've collected that for many years, but what recently like clicked within you to start, broadening your collection and picking up a lot of, different pieces like jambalayas and PMGs?
It's mostly I have been kind of picking up a lot of it. I think you could watch a video just from last year where I'm like, I don't own any PMGs, and now all of a sudden I own quite a few PMGs. Um, but mostly
So,
it's kind of
yeah.
like it's social driven to me. A lot of it.
Mhm.
I like the idea of, yeah. I mean, I've met great people like yourself and others, and I like kind of talking about collectibles with a narrow group. This is like a niche hobby, It's like there's not a lot of people that do this, so I feel like it gives me exposure to a lot of people that I don't know in my area or my, and like, I'm making friends all across the world, and it's kind of like an even playing field. And there's like a hunt aspect to what we're doing, right? Where we're all kind of on the hunt.
Mhm.
And, I like kind of just, I like seeing those posts of people that are like, hey, I got this week. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. There's a lot of envy and jealousy that we all feel, it's like, oh, and I kind of love that in a way. I kind of like the fact that we all kind of keep mental ties on what other people have. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I think I know a guy that has that. Like, there's just something. It's the fact that the actual collectible, the Marvel cards fan base is relatively small. And
Mhm.
like comic books, it's just, there's hundreds of thousands of people collecting comic books. And I think Marvel cards, it's a few thousand people,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
So again, from you evolving from only collecting the 92 set,
Oh yeah,
now,
yeah.
no, yeah, you're good. I was just gonna ask, like, what caused which was, I think you answered the majority of it, which is socially driven. But do you know what other changes internally caused that for you to start looking at other sets and other inserts or cards?
R- Recent increase in personal income, that's definitely a factor.
Okay,
um,
nice.
I mean, not to get into it, but that has happened. And also, it's just I don't have this gets a little deeper, but like I am a collector at heart. You guys can tell I'm a collector at heart. I collect a lot
Yeah.
of stuff, but I do move things. I go in and out of collectibles all the time. Like sometimes I have regret some things that I've traded or sold, and I pick up new things. But recently I just don't have a lot of faith in um the world economic
Mhm.
system.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain, but I actually find more um
Value.
I find more value, and I find a little bit more security in the fact that I own things that are it's like
Tangible.
moving it's yeah, tangible, and it's like we're moving into things like getting out of the US dollar and buying gold. It's that kind of thing. It's like, well, I don't like I like to kind of diversify my portfolio a bit, and I think that's what this is doing quite a bit as well. Because like I used to collect Lego sets, and I still do. You can see a lot of Lego over here. And but like when I lived in California, like I was one of those guys that used to go to Target or Walmart like at 8 a.m. when they opened, rush in, look for Lego clearance items, and I'd buy all the Lego clearance. And I'd buy tons, sometimes $1,000 worth of Lego at the right store at the right time, and then put it on. I've had my eBay account for 22 years, so I have one of the oldest eBay accounts and I've been selling stuff on there for a long time and moving things like Lego and flipping it for profit. Then my wife doesn't like me like spending a lot of our money on these kind of collectibles, so I usually try to make my hobbies and my
Fund the
collectibles
hobbies.
pay for themselves. Yeah. So, and that's kind of that's just something I do just because I'm a father of four and I have like we have financial goals, my wife and I. So that's a long answer, but that's kind of it. I actually have a lot of confidence in the futures of Marvel cards, and I don't see it as, yeah. And even if it doesn't work out, I love them so much anyway. I'm not that worried about it. But like, there's certain ones like the 2013 Reds that I have here. And I didn't really want to get so deep into these 2015s, the jambalayas, but this, like, I was able to kind of purchase a large collection of cards from an individual a few months ago, which kind of kickstarted a lot of what I'm doing.
Now, just on you touched on you mentioning that you've had your eBay store for like 22 years, and you've picked up Legos and pretty much you resell here and there. How do you navigate yourself on what you hold for a longer period of time based on what you're reselling and what you want to offload right away?
Anything I usually sell, I don't want. And it's more a question of, I think the question you're asking is, do you buy a lot of things you don't want? And the question is yes. I mean, the answer is yes. I buy cards I don't necessarily want, but I do know that the person selling it is selling it under what I think the current market is. So I can turn that card that I didn't want that I bought into a card that I do want. So by
Yeah.
making $400 on it, oh, there's sweet. There's $400 that I can now buy that Spider-Man hologram that I wanted from who knows what. And I think a lot of us do that, and I think there's a lot of demonizing of that kind of behavior in the hobby, and I don't quite understand it, because you're basically just like, look, I've studied the hobby and I researched it a lot, and I know a lot about it. So of course I'm going to see a good deal, and I'm going to jump on that good deal, even if it's not something I want. It might be something that you want, and I know you're looking for it.
Mm.
But yeah, I kind of got I got a little heat after the Atlanta show, just because I bought like 4 cards from someone that showed them to me on the floor, and I didn't have any interest in them, but I actually thought somebody at the MCCW would, on the Facebook group, would want it. So I bought it, and I think on average over the 4 cards, I probably made $150 on each card, and still offered them I thought to be below market rates. And the people that bought them loved them. I did okay, and I had to pay for my plane ticket to. So when I got home, I was like, hey, tell my wife, yeah, $1,000 plane ticket I paid for.
Yeah, I'll touch on a few things, but just before I touch on the whole reselling thing and how it's frowned upon in the hobby, what going back to the collecting, what I meant more so, say for example, you picked up like like a Ghostbusters Lego set, a Star Wars Lego set, and then maybe Batman.
Yeah.
I meant, do you have any strategy on which one you let go of first, not based on whether you like it or not, just based on the potential of the individual IP?
That's a great question. Like, I still have like a storage room filled with Lego sets of Indiana Jones and Lord of the Rings Lego sets.
Okay.
Now, why? And these are not like, and it's because um, I knew that the fandom behind Indiana Jones is bigger than just the few years that Lego is going to acquire that license for. And sure enough, Lego only had the license for 2 years. So then they lost it. And, will they get it again? Who knows? That maybe they'll make the sets again one day. But in the meantime, I knew that it would be, they're only going to kind of go up in value. And honestly, I bought most of them on clearance anyway. So actually I was buying them when people weren't buying them. In fact, they were like discounted 50% because nobody wanted them. But I build a lot of sets, and then I sell sets too. Sometimes, like I tell my wife, like I have sometimes like I look at Lego sets like puzzles. Like you buy a puzzle, you build it, and then you put it back in the box and you put it back in the shelf, and then you build it again later on. Or I send it to my nephew so he can build it and things like that. And it's a little bit more like a momentary thing, and I keep the ones that I want. I do have like the Ghostbusters. I think I have the Ghostbusters Firehouse. It's a pretty large set, the Lego set. But yeah, I don't know. There's certain sets I love and I keep them, and there's certain cards I love and I'm going to keep them forever. So
Yeah, nice. I appreciate
just
that.
go off,
Now,
just go off my gut.
yeah, the intuition. Yeah. Now going back to the reselling part being frowned upon, I think personally, right? I think what's going on, and I think that this is very common for any hobby that hasn't become a commodity or a market, like for investors and flippers. I think that you have this resistance from like the people that were collecting for a long time. I also feel like part of it is also jealousy, right? Because like you mentioned, to your point, like the people that you sold these individual cards to, they weren't complaining. It was
Oh,
everybody else that wasn't involved that was complaining.
yes, yes.
So yeah, I just mute that, because I mean I think if those people were in your same position, they'd probably be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I guess it's about having liquid capital. So, to buy things when I also had to take the risk. Like I actually brought to the Atlanta show like 8 grand in cash just to have it with me in case a good opportunity came by, and cash is king. And that's a risk, like,
Hmm.
taking that much money onto a plane and into a hotel room and like, traveling
Yeah,
with that much money and, going on an Uber with that, like it's a risk. And it, you those that risk, you know
yeah.
no reward, risk reward, there's some kind of saying there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I think it's like the
Fortune
courage
favors
or
the bold, that's what
favors
they're.
the bold. Yeah, there you go. And well, to your point again, in regards to all this, look at the sports market. Like you're pretty much doing what everybody does in the sports market, and no one bats an eye when anybody does exactly what you just did. It's
Yeah.
just a part of the hobby at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so true. And like, the sports market guys buy boxes, like, they, when a new product comes out, they're going to drop 50K on cases of this product. So, I mean, and the hits aren't even as frequent as they are in Marvel cards. Marvel cards actually have pretty good odds on hits overall.
Yeah. The other point I wanted to touch on when you mentioned, diversifying your portfolio and how collectibles has become something, that's an option other than the S&P 500. I think to your point, I think we are buying gold, and now the individual gets to decide what is gold to them,
Yes.
right? So before, like, we would just all agree on gold is gold, and buy it at whatever an ounce, 1,500, 1,800 an ounce. Now you could put that same amount of money into a PMG and know for a fact that there's only a certain number of those printed, and
Yes.
you could sleep tight at night. And like to your point, if you do it right and you only buy what you like when it comes to Marvel and investing, like even if you get stuck with these things, if you enjoy them, it doesn't really matter.
It's like the Settlers of Catan, man. Like, I've gone all in on sheep, you know?
Yeah,
I got sheep
yeah.
and wheat.
So So you'll enjoy this next question, which I've asked to many guests on here, especially you
Where's my
already kind
coffee,
of.
by the way? Where's my coffee?
Where's my coffee at, man?
Oh,
I thought you were bringing
was
it.
I supposed to bring it? Oh, shoot.
The guest brings it.
Oh, shoot.
No worries, I'll let it slide. But what what I was going to ask you is, like, if you had total creative control of the next 2023 Marvel masterpieces,
Hmm.
walk me through that. Then what artist would you pick? What kind of stock would you pick for the cards? You know,
No, I mean, I'm not just saying this because I already said I love this kind of art, but I think it would be neat if Marvel Masterpiece didn't do like a painting based artist. Like I wish they would actually go with like a line artist that would actually just do it to the fullest of their craft, like without it feeling like, masterpieces. It's called Marvel Masterpieces in my opinion because it's kind of based on more painterly techniques, paint based techniques like oil painting and whatnot, and it's supposed to feel like the old masters, like old Renaissance masters of, like we're taking, it's like a new age of mastery of medium, right? And I think it would be cool if it was a departure from like the Hildebrandt kind of art and more towards um
do you like Deloto? Is that someone you like?
oh, I love, no, yeah, Delotto would be so okay. No, I mean, yeah, erase everything I just said, and Delotto would be amazing. I mean, he's like I have a lot of comics. I collect a lot of covers of his, um, and yeah, he's fantastic. One of my favorite comics is his Winter Soldier cover, and but yeah, I mean, I just hope it's by someone that's already in like the Marvel.
Like you want more than anything, you want a comic artist is what you want.
Yeah, I want someone that already does this, and art isn't just like it's too much of a departure, like someone that would really. Yeah, Delato would be great. You know who else would be great is what's his name? I'm having a mind fart here. What's his name?
Another one that gets thrown around a lot while you think is Alex Ross.
Yes, Alex Ross. That's what I was going to say. Yes, that's the one I was going to say with my I have like a Guardians of the Galaxy comic here, which is like a cover of his. And mind if I get it?
No, go ahead.
And I mean, his stuff is. He would bring it. He would bring it.
Yeah. Speaking of pencilers too, by the way, his name's like I can't think of his name currently, but he's the same guy who penciled the Tales to Astonish '93 with the Hulk and Surfer, and I believe he also penciled Doctor Strange first appearance. Do you know who that penciler is? Is it Dan Atkins? Am I right?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
But to your point about line work and pencil work,
I can't remember. Dan Atkins?
Yeah, I believe
so you said it was from Marvel Universe Series 3?
No. I mentioned it was from Doctor Strange, the number of the key, first key issue, or Doctor Strange #1. And he also worked on the
Strange Tales or Doctor Strange #1.
That's a great question. Like the one that's pretty expensive.
It's like an Alex Ross, right?
Yeah, that was from that also came out on the 80th anniversary Panini set.
Yeah,
that's awesome artwork. Yeah, that's awesome.
He does great compositions. He's kind of, I mean, he'd be a logical choice for them. He does a lot of DC art as well. Yeah, but I'd actually prefer Delato over Alex Ross.
Do you like Nar? Have you seen any of his artwork, by the way? Any of those sketch cards? Nar? N-A-R?
N-A-R? No, I'm going to look right now.
His first name is Julio, and the Nar stands for his last name. I believe it's Naranjo.
Julio Nar Marvel sketch. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, as soon as you see that, he's next level, in my opinion. For sketch cards, at least. I don't think he's ever done comics.
Oh, yeah, oh, man, this is sick. Yeah.
Yeah, you see? So I hold him as on the league of his own, along with Carlos Caballero. He does a lot of the Star Wars Masterworks artwork there.
Man.
And I don't think I've ever asked you this, Scandell, but what are your top 5 characters?
Oh,
no particular order.
No particular order. That's easy. It's easier. Captain America. I love Captain America. And Wolverine. That's always cliche to say. Everybody loves Wolverine. Rogue, for sure. I love Rogue. I think she's one of the more interesting X-Men in general. I don't like her, with the whole X-Men thing with her casting her as the main character. I think she's just like a perfect, like well-balanced side character badass, and that's what I would like her to be in a film, and not have like major storylines about her, but she's just there. And I do a lot of Black Cat and Psylocke as well. I do like a lot of the lady art for sure, but trying to think of something outside the box slightly. Nightcrawler and so my favorite trio is like Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Colossus, like that kind of. They were always really good buddies in the late 70s and 80s X-Men line, and I always liked the three of them as just kind of a trio, and I'm actually working on a piece right now with all three of them in it.
Nice. Now, I know you mentioned you're a father of 4. Are your kids into Marvel at all? And if so, what are their favorite characters?
Man, that's interesting. You know what's so funny? I like to tell everybody this. My second son, little redheaded kid, he's awesome, and his name's Atticus. He before, like, this is like 2.5 years before Black Panther was a film. He wanted to be Black Panther for Halloween, and he adores Black Panther and always has. And this was before it was like pumped, like before there was even like a movie announcement, like where This like I think he saw I think he saw Black Panther in what's that really great Marvel animated TV series? The Heroes one. What's it called? Heroes of I can't remember. But I think he saw an episode of that when he was really young, and he thought Black Panther was the man. And then when the film came out, it just really, he connected with it. My oldest son loves Star-Lord the best, and I think that's a really great choice as well.
Yeah.
My youngest son, Jude, man, which character does he love? My daughter loves Spider-Man, but she likes more actors. Like she's a big nut for Tom Holland and for for Andrew Garfield. And my youngest son, which character does he love? I don't know. I mean, they're all Marvel fans. They're mostly through the MCU, but they have I have large collections of comics that they read through as well, and I've been good about getting them a lot of Marvel encyclopedias and Wolverine encyclopedias as those things came out. There's some really great books and literature that kind of my kids love to read those kind of large almanacs.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, my daughter loves the Hulk. That's her favorite.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and my son loves Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
So
I'm just I want to see the Hulk in the films more. Like I'm not satisfied yet with Hulk in the films,
Yeah.
I want more Hulk.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man, if they bring him up in the upcoming films. Another question I had for you is in regards to sealed wax or sealed boxes. You don't collect sealed yourself, do you?
I open things really well, but I do have I actually once X-Men Metal was
getting close to sold out.
I have a case of X-Men Metal that I'm sitting on.
Oh, nice.
That's the first time I've bought a case of anything before. And I actually wasn't that huge of a fan of X-Men Metal, but I did I like the periodics and stuff, that. But I just bought it because I already felt even when I bought it, I thought it was about $150 per box less than it should have been. So I bought the whole case for $3,800, and I was listening to a lot of other sports card collectors, and Neo in particular, who's kind of talks a lot about how if you want to make money, just you should buy boxes and just sit on them. And I'm putting that theory to the test with that X-Men Metal.
Nice. So here's a question for you in regards to besides X-Men Metal. What if you can name three different boxes for me? One that you would hold, one that you would rip, and one that you would flip if they came into your possession.
Well, I'd flip 2013 Retro in a heartbeat.
Okay.
No, wait. What were the options? Because I'd want to open that, actually.
You get to rip one. Yeah, you get to open one, flip one, and hold one.
Yeah, I'd flip 2015 Retro. I'd hold 2013. I'd open and rip 2013. And if I were to hold one long term, man, if I could hold something long term, it would probably be Spider-Man 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. I am a recent convert to a lot of the Rittenhouse boxes. I like to brag that I bought the last cheap Rittenhouse boxes on eBay, because it's true. And I ripped them on my channel, and they were all the sketch cards that had already been extracted from all the boxes. So in January, there was 5 boxes from one seller. He was just selling all these open boxes, but with the sketch card missing. And I bought 5, I bought 75th anniversary, 2014 Rittenhouse, Dangerous Divas 2, and bought all this stuff, and for $80 a box, So
yeah, those are I mean, you already know how I feel about Rittenhouse, and I was actually having this conversation recently with Doom, which was the 75th gold border cards. I was thinking those don't have any parallels or base cards, and they're one. It was a case hit. I think you got a little taste of that yourself when you opened the 75th.
Yeah, I got the Galactus, and that's one of my favorite cards, to be honest. The art in that is phenomenal.
Right. What I love about them too, by the way, sorry to cut you off, but what I love about them is that in the back of the card, they actually give credit to the artist. Like the artist's name is behind every one of those gold border cards.
Yeah. Like those cards for me are like I have active eBay searches on those because I want them, and those are like ones that I don't necessarily think are like, oh, those are like the sound investment cards.
Mhm.
But as far as me as a collector, like I want the whole set. Like those cards are so choice,
Yeah.
and the art so choice, the presentation so choice, the gold leaf around the edge is so awesome. So like, yeah, I think they should be probably priced in in the $100 to $700 a card range. But
I don't know about all that, Scan. I think because you want to complete the set.
I know I would love to get them cheaper, but I'm just saying, like,
No, that's a good range for most characters. That's good to
no,
do that
yeah,
too.
I guess it's like a range, but like I don't see them, becoming worth like 10 grand a pop or anything like that. But they definitely are visually worth it. Like they pop really well, and I have Gambit and Galactus, and I've been picking up a few here and there. I can tell you this, but
Nice.
I have Red Hulk and
Oh, nice. The Hulk is tough. The Red Hulk is nice. I have it as well, but the Red Hulk or the regular Hulk, I passed on because it was a little tough for me.
yeah, I don't love it, but Gambit, the best Gambit card in existence, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to that, but I was gonna say on the subject of Rittenhouse too, something that nobody touches on, like whoever was in charge of that set, designing and putting it together, dude. What? And then what surprises me personally is that, like a lot of people know, Rittenhouse used to have a Marvel license, and obviously for financial reasons they couldn't retain the license, right? So you have someone with Upper Deck that has a lot better funding than they do, yet Rittenhouse was able to pull off that set.
The graphic design and art direction from Upper Deck is lacking.
Yes,
it is lacking, and Rittenhouse had much more graphic design. The presentation of the cards, even like the 75th, the 2014s, this like the diamond, the idea of having diamonds and emerald sapphires, and like the whole collection terminology was better.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, like the parallels felt a little redundant slightly because of parallels are parallels. I mean, give me a break. But I totally agree. I think whoever was working for Rittenhouse had a real love and understanding of what made the cards feel special. And it's not only those; it's also just like the begin. Wait, Marvel Beginnings was not Rittenhouse, right?
No.
No.
But they did good across the board, by the way. I mean, I know this is only in regards to Marvel, but like they did great with the IP of Game of Thrones, 007. Like they just
did that company go under?
No, they still have the licenses for everything I mentioned except for Marvel. They hold the license for Star Trek, Game of Thrones. I can't think of another few, but my point was, that whomever was inside the company at that point, you could tell they were a true collector, which is why they came up with these very good ideas. And I'm saying that as if it's one guy doing everything, but the team they had,
it could have not been. Yeah, it could have been someone not even in charge. It could have just been the guy that they handled the art direction of the cards, like in general, had good taste.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's true for sure.
Now, where do you see Marvel in the next 2 to 3 years when it comes to, like, I know people feel differently about the current state of the market, but I always feel like we're still at the beginning, and I don't feel that way with PMGs or jambalayas, by the way. But I'm just referring to Marvel as a whole. I think this is just the beginning, but that's my take on it.
Well, there's what I want the future to be, and then there's the one that I fear. The future that I fear.
Okay, well, let's start with the future we would want it to be if there's no war or any type of economic crashes that would impede it from fulfilling.
Sure. I'm not that worried about war, but it's more just about what Disney's going to do with Marvel in general. Is my biggest concern.
Got it.
That's my bigger concern, was just Disney's manipulation of Marvel. And it is a concern that all collectors should be worried about. Like my cat's trying to get in. She's plucking on my screen door. You go away. Go away. No. Go. I'll let her in. 1 second.
No, you take your time.
I have two windows. Come here, Hats. Come here. Come on, come on. Up, 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 up. There she goes, out the door. Come on. She just wants to get in. It is snowing after all, you know.
No worries. Hey, another thing I wanted to mention on that subject before we go into the direction that Disney might take it to is, for everybody out there that's just getting into Marvel, like, remember at the end of the day, you put your hard-earned dollar wherever you want it to go. So point being is you could stay away from all modern and only buy a vintage product.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But go ahead. You were going to finish the thought.
No, I actually was. I mean, tying that to the previous. I wish the Rittenhouse were. I wish the box counts were higher. They didn't make much of that product.
No, that's what makes it special.
Yes, it's true, and it's an interesting kind of point in time too, is because it was before like the MCU got really huge as well. So, it's interesting. Anyway, but. Future of Marvel, not just Marvel cards, or just Marvel in general.
Marvel cards, right? But yeah, okay. You can do both.
Well, Marvel Comics is struggling greatly to pick up new readers. They're not picking up new readers at all. So, and with future generations not really reading comic books, and being more interested in social media and making things. Like I think we're all raising kids that like to make things online. Whether it be video content of themselves and their friends and things. My point is, I do think it will, like the MCU definitely kind of made it, it was a worldwide phenomenon. And I think there's going to be more interest in it. It's interesting, right? Like for us, we were kind of from a, somewhat same generation in that the X-Men in the 90s was like a big deal and it made a big impact on us, but not on everybody. There was not a lot of people that, and my point is the MCU is going to make a huge impact on generations to come of movie fans. That's my eBay reminder guy. I know that's how it goes. But my point is, I think with the future of Marvel, it's going to be rocky. In that, I think my kids are going to be more interested in actors and their portrayals of characters as opposed to like actual story lines from comic books of those characters. That's I think, you look at older generations before us, and they have different interests and different things, and I think Marvel's going to. Like how many, like the question is how many actors are going to play Iron Man in our lifetime? I'd guess 3 or 4 right before we die. And that you have to think about it like that in my mind. Like it's not just Robert Downey Jr. Right now it is, but Disney's going to want to make money again. After they make a bunch of mistakes, they're going to want to go back to the well and be like, well, Iron Man made money. Let's make him again. Reboot. Yes. And we're going to see 2 or 3 reboots in our lifetime. And
that's a good point.
And it's just kind of, it's interesting that way. I'm not sure what else to say about it, but I do worry about just Disney's involvement and what's going to happen with it in general. I don't like politics in my action films.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. Now to close it out, and by the way, I really do appreciate you joining me today. Can you share with us some of your favorite cards that you currently have in your collection?
Well, yeah. So I just picked up 2 sketch cards I'd like to show from Liddy Lee. This one I picked up. Love this card. Kind of classic beast.
Yeah.
And no joke, I have like a minute and a half before I got a bid on something here. This Gambit as well. This one's sick.
Yeah, that's the one you were holding for me, I think.
Yeah, these ones exactly. These ones are great sketch cards. My favorite card that I have right now, and I made a big splurge purchase on this, is this. Captain America Jambalaya. I saw this and I just fell in love with the presentation. This is like my ideal Cap card artwork. The composition's awesome. The shield's there. It's the whole, it's everything that you would ever want in a Cap card.
Yeah, I think the only one that tops that, and I think you own it too, is the 2013 PMG Captain America. That artwork is crazy.
Yeah, that one's pretty sick too. Actually, I like this art better, but I totally hear you. I think that one's great.
Nice, man. Well, look, this is part of the collecting the blue dots time. So Scandell, thanks again for joining me, man.
Yeah.
And you have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you.